as I can, but I would not. Being recorded. Good to go? Okay, we'll try again. Yep. This is call to order for the regular board trustees meeting for Gillette College for July 17th, 2024. Trustee Smith, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Ms. Henning, we have a forum. Thank you. That completes our roll call. Before we get started, I would just like to thank everybody for changing the logistics for this meeting. We're really excited as a board to be down here in Wright, Gillette College, and is for all of Campbell County residents. And we certainly appreciate all the support that we get from our partners in our city of Wright. So thank you to the staff particularly who had to do a lot of adjustments with equipment and IT and that extra support. But we as trustees just really wanted to be here in person and be a presence to hear from our support in Southern Campbell County. So thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Oberlander. Everyone, thank you very much. Excuse me. I'd like to request a motion to approve the agenda for the regular GCCD Board of Trustee meeting held today, Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. I see you.
Second.
Trustee Anderson presents a motion with the second being provided by Trustee Williams. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. On to the approval of the consent agenda. Again, I will request a motion to approve the consent agenda for the regular GCCD board meeting held today. Is there someone that would provide that motion?
So moved. Second.
Trustee Geep is providing the first motion, followed by Trustee Henri Smith. Please note that in the order. For the second. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Okay, on for the good of the district. We have always some exciting news and accolades for our student achievement. So we look forward to this section. Dr. Oberlander.
Madam Chair, trustees, we are pleased today. I echo Trustee Watzenberger's sentiments. We are pleased to be down in Wright. We enjoy when we come and visit this community. There are some strong supporters for Gillette Community College District, and we've enjoyed the partnerships. And we look forward to expanding those. Former Senator, Executive Director Bochis Wasserberger is working on an opportunity for us to come and have a conversation with our friends at Wright High School, so we can look at what we can do to further our concurrent and dual enrollment programs here. So we look forward to the opportunity to do that this fall, and no doubt there are other partnerships we can establish and expand out there as well. But today we're really excited that Mr. Tony Geist, our machine tool technology instructor, as well as Skills USA advisor, is here to talk about the Skills USA national competition result that was held in Atlanta, Georgia in June. And so Mr. Geist, would you please let us know how we did and talk a little bit about your program?
Sure. So just where you want.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So we had a student that was competing for high school, but he is a Gillette College student. He placed 22nd in diesel equipment technology. And if you check the newspaper this weekend, you'll see in our in some of his experience. He had a great time, awesome participation, learned a lot. our mechatronics team, and his name is, John David Crump. And, our mechatronics team composed of Timothy Rubin and Luke Mulder, placed 15th in the nation. And it was a very challenging project, and they worked together as a team. Learned a lot as well, and all those students will be back next year to finish out their education. And as advisors, we were able to participate in, it's called the Academy of Excellence, and also the Skills USA University. And I participated in 5 different sessions there. Had a great time learning what's going on. So, thank you for the opportunity. It's all a part of Gillette College, and hopefully it will grow exponentially like it has across the nation.
Mr. Gress, can you talk a little bit about when you start preparing? So when do the students start preparing for competition?
The curriculum in their courses is really where it all comes together. Specifically, we don't just train for Skills USA per se, because it's industry partners that are putting it on. So it's what industry needs in there from their new employees. So we have no idea what actions happen. So it's our curriculum that prepares them for that. And then some of the core fundamentals of Skills USA teach them how to present at a board meeting, things like that, nature and public speaking. So it all builds on top of their education.
And then will you also talk a little bit about our industry partners and how they're involved, not only in the curriculum, but also when they host competitions?
Right, so locally, L&H does the automated manufacturing for us, and Craftco in Sheridan does the measurement portion of that competition. And then for the diesel equipment technology, Wyoming Machinery is the main chairperson, but it involves a broad range of all the companies in town that also participate, including Interstate Power Solutions, Lloyd's, Cummins. The list is extensive without having it in front of me. I can't name them all. I apologize for that, because they are why we have that.
And they judge, correct, if I'm not mistaken?
They
Part of
do,
the
they
judging.
judge and they put together the tasks that the students will be performing. And like I said, most of that should be in the experience.
Trustees, does anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much for serving as an advisor. I know it's an unpaid position, but I assume that it's rewarding. I appreciate you doing that.
Sure, it is. It's a privilege and an honor to be able to serve as well. And that's part of Skills USA, is being of service. So that's all the fundamentals that tie together in this organization.
Sure.
Yes.
So Tony, yeah, first of all, thank you. I appreciate that as well. Gillette College has been involved in Skills USA for a number of years, if I recall correctly. I know that how many students did you take down altogether?
This time there were 3 students.
Just
The
3.
ones that I mentioned are the ones that competed. We had another one that was eligible, but she chose to stay and work and not participate this year. She did very well the previous year and earned the privilege to go again, but declined it. And as far as the campus, we had 38 students that were members.
It's a significant population of the students involved in those programs. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a broad range, and we hope to expand it all the way across the campus, because nursing and math, Student Senate, all of them benefit from Skills USA and the path that it takes. It's a broad range of just being able to pass that on, the service and being a part of the community. And then the technical skills do usually produce job, employment opportunities.
So they get great life skills as well as the vocational skills.
Correct.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sees anybody else?
I just have to say how proud we are of what you guys do. Thank you for, it's such a great thing for us as a college to showcase and a great way to showcase students who may not want the limelight,
Mhm.
but certainly deserve it. And so thank you. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, it's and if you guys want to participate when we host them on campus, you're more than welcome to check it out and speak with industry partners.
We would love that opportunity. I have a question for you. So you mentioned the young man that sounds like he's a dual enrollment high school student as well as college student. Is he our first Skills USA student to be able to achieve that? Or have you had other ones in the past?
Well, he's a unique situation because he was homeschooled
Okay.
and that organization was not going to have anybody participate in there. So we stepped up and said, he's our student. However the process is, he has a high schooler, but truly he was a Gillette College student because he is in our program.
I just see I just see it as such an example of a wonderful opportunity. I echo what the rest of the trustees either have said or are thinking. Our CTE program for our state, our community, our county is so critical, and your faculty is just, and staff are just amazing in the things that you guys do. Trustee Palmer and I have many times got to witness the Skills USA kids with their medals and how they bring home national accolades and the life skill, et cetera, that it gives them, the opportunities, I'm sure, for scholarships. You mentioned for employment. I just can't, expound on that enough. It's just another example of how great it is to live in this great state and this great county and having this great college. So please tell your faculty partners how much we appreciate it, and we would love to be able to also give those things forwards to our community partners as well.
Perfect. Yeah,
Thank you so
I
much.
will. And just as a side note, Sky did 100% on the John Deere technical. So he brought home essentially gold for Gillette College.
Oh.
But it's the vendors, it's a huge trade show, so you get to people all around, and they have little competitions like that. And Sky did 100% on me and knocked everybody out before it. So he was first place.
So we can go for a ride on his big green tractor. Is that what we can do?
I don't know if it's
There might
great,
be, okay, there might be a song.
he
about
does have my step Jubilee edition.
that.
You picked it right on time.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that wonderful report. And again, we'll look forward to the fall where we can actually congratulate the students in person, as I think that's part of the plan.
Yeah, and I'll send out an invitation
Okay,
to everyone with me out event.
that would be great. Thank you so much.
Can we give them a hand?
Okay, good news from the trustees. This is a time just for our audience that we just like to share things that we are very proud of, what we did personally, professionally, or based with our college, and just a way to, an opportunity for others to get us to know us at a different level. So Trustee Anderson, I bet you do have something to share.
I have something to share. My granddaughter came home after brain surgery on Monday. She's got some work to do to get her brain retrained, but she's happy to be home and doing way better than we thought. That's exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would like to congratulate trustee Dee for being sworn in as Gillette City Court Judge the other day from the state.
Oh, Trustee Williams.
Well, I've got 9 grandkids, you know, as well. Gibby, he's a sophomore. And last week I needed the yard. So I said, I called him, I said, Gibby, come over. I texted him, I said, Grandpa, I can't. I said, why not? He said, I'm booked for the rest of the week. How many kids say they're booked for the rest of the week? Well, anyway, he got a call. He's on 2 elite United States All-Star teams. And so he got a call Tuesday night from a coach in Phoenix, the Northwest All-Star team he plays on. So they needed a point guard. So they called Gibby. So the next day at 10 o'clock that night, he headed for Phoenix with my son Rory. And he played 4 games. Now this week, Friday night or Friday morning at 5:45, he leaves for Minneapolis to play with another all-star team. And then from there, he goes to South Carolina and plays with another all-star team. And then there he goes to Lincoln, play for another all-star team. So he's on a 10-day road trip. So that's why I'm not getting my yard mowed. And that's why Greenville has to mow it.
Oh,
And he can mow it in 1-2 hours, and it takes me 2 days. So that's my share.
well, congratulations. And he obviously is very, very successful. Maybe we should get autographs sooner than later before they cost too much.
Well, he said, when he came home, I just talked to him this morning. He said, Grandpa, I was really excited down there. There was coaches from Duke, South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Tennessee, and they were watching me play basketball.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank God.
and he's got 3 more years at the piece. So.
And he'll have an excellent start at Gillette Community College District as a Gillette College.
Well, we'll take that for a little bit.
Okay.
Well, thank you for sharing. Other good news, trustee?
I think this is grandchildren today. Our eldest grandson, well, we only have 5. Currently, I only have 5. But our eldest, just recently turned 18, soloed for the first time this weekend. So he's working on his pilot's license, and it went well until, and he did very well, and he also had an emergency. He had a blown tire on it. Ooh, and kept it on the runway. Taxed it off into the grass. Plane's okay, he's okay, and he successfully completed the survival.
Well, well, prayers answered on that one as well. So that's wonderful.
Was it totally flat?
It was, yeah, it blew.
It blew on the tail.
That's on land, yeah.
It's not just emotional.
Wow. But he did well. I texted him afterwards. I said, how do you feel? I said, it was a little apprehensive. It was a little apprehensive. Yeah, well,
Yeah, well, I'm glad he's okay and congratulations. That is
Yeah.
great. Anyone else have anything to share?
Madam Chair, I'm certainly not a trustee, but I do have some exciting news to share. My team has not even heard this. So Steve and I are going to be first-time grandparents.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're excited and we're excited, and Steve is ecstatic. So
I
we're
bet.
looking forward. So I'm blocking out February, just so you know. On our meeting, but we look forward to that.
Congratulations.
That's very
All's
exciting.
going to be well. They're early on in the process, but everybody's going to be healthy and all going to be just good. Yeah.
So many good things to celebrate. So thank you for indulging us during that time. Organizational report. So we'll start off with the president's report, Dr. Overlander, and then we prepared a report.
Yes, Madam Chair, trustees, our esteemed visitors to our boardroom, to your boardroom that we get to visit. Of course, summer is a wonderful time where we all get to take a break. So cabinet members have been away, taking some time off. I had a wonderful vacation, wonderful president's conference up in Kalispell. it's always nice to interact and network with colleagues who are working through some of the same issues we are, whether they're in Wyoming, Montana, Arizona, Utah. It's just a really wonderful opportunity. So, but now we're back. Summer is over. Everybody is full press now. This course start in about a month from now. Our faculty will be returning. The first group of athletes return to campus in about 2 weeks. And we'll get them here, we'll get their paperwork processed, and then we, of course, are sending them over for preseason to Black Hills State because Camboree will be here on campus as well. So, however, there's a lot of other things on campus as well. So just a few construction updates. You probably noticed that the bridge has been closed from time to time throughout the summer, one for staining. But yesterday, the electricians were putting lights up on the bridge. And so we'll do a bridge lighting ceremony in conjunction with a trustee event in late August. We're looking at the week of the 26th. We're just nailing down that final date right now, and then we'll work to get invitations out. But we're really excited about those lights. They'll be able to change colors, something our community's been asking for. And just as a reminder, we had 2 donors who were instrumental in making that happen. Well, 3 actually. So we'll certainly recognize those folks when we light the bridge there for bridge lighting. We're just in the process of finalizing invoices and the pieces we need to get the tech center flex space and new boardroom, new carpet, new paint, and you'll approve some audiovisual equipment here for the tech flex space as well. And so we look forward to that. I believe painting is going to be in here within about a week, and the new carpet will go in. I'd love to have it done for you by the board meeting in August. Fingers crossed we can at least get the board done. And then, of course, we have to start talking about the painting or that piece of artwork that the board made donations for to commission. So we'll begin those processes. I did talk with Dara Corkery, and she'll work with us, but also will engage Ava in that process as well. So we look forward to bringing that to fruition. The pronghorn storage room that's going to get turned into the Energy City Voices area, we won't begin that until next spring, summer, when basketball season ends. That project has to go to the commission, because it does change the use of that room. It turns it into an academic space, which makes it available for major maintenance. So that does have to go to the commission. You approved that. It's in your minutes that you just approved. We'll get the packet ready. It'll go to the October Wyoming Community College Commission meeting for approval. It doesn't have to go to the legislature, but it does have to be approved by the commission. So that'll take place starting next spring. We do have to do some work on the pronghorn floor. We're going to do some buffing and a couple more coats of steel. That's a water-based steel. It's new to that floor. We've had some humidity issues that created a few, I say cracks, but really they're about a thumbnail crack, but it does impact the floor and the performance of that floor. So Vice President Larson, along with Facilities Director Marty Wolf, have been working tirelessly, and actually legal counsel has also been involved in that process. So late July is when they'll come add 2 more coats, and then there's got to be some touch up that happens. So that's all in progress. We'll likely have to bring them back to do another few coats and buff it out again in December. So that'll just be ongoing maintenance on that floor. It's an expensive floor, so we want to make sure that we maintain it and keep it where it needs to be. The pronghorn, or the main parking lot, has been resurfaced. That was about a 2-week, maybe even a 3-week process, but it looks much better. They did some repair work with some of those cracks that were getting larger and larger, but it's been restriped. It looks much nicer now. So some of the drainage issues have been corrected there as well. So those are the construction updates. Any questions on anything I might be missing on construction or maintenance, major maintenance work? Okay. With phase 3, so we've been awarded for nursing $85,000 for nursing with phase 3. That really is the continuation of that AI simulator. So Hal should be back on campus. You know, Hal arrived. He had to get boxed back up and sent back. He had some technical difficulties. So Hal, I believe, is back on campus, but they'll use that $85,000 to train faculty, to train students, and really to enhance that simulation experience for our students and for our community. Of course, Capital Hospital comes in and uses our simulation lab as well for training. The EMT teams use it as well. So it's a highly used space. So we look forward to improving the technology. And then workforce development, which also includes our CDL program, was awarded just under $500,000 for continuation of that program sustainability funding. So the goal, of course, with WIP is to start those new programs and they become self-sustainable. So this piece of money will help us to continue to sustain next year. We have WIP for the amount will get less until we're able to self-sustain that program. So let me tell you a little bit about CDL and workforce, what's happening in that area right now. So as of June 1st, we've trained for workforce. So this is non-credit. These are industry recognized credentials, industry recognized training. We've trained 140 people in that program, and we've awarded industry certification people 65. And some of that training includes hydraulic crane safety, practical hydraulics, neuroeducation, androgyny. Any idea what that is? Because I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Dr. Maschio. It's probably Jill Maschio that taught that. We did some 1224 volt fundamentals, tactical leadership, a construction boot camp. We've done some training for Buckskin and Marne and Black Hills Thunder. So quite a wide range. We certainly have our heavy industry partners covered, working well. Now we need to start migrating into healthcare, doing some work, leadership, management, accounting, technology, those types of things. So they're working on their schedule for the fall as we speak right now. CDL, of course, we graduated the first 2 students out of that program. There's a nice article in the news record covering that graduation. We have students in process right now. Some of the things that have happened, we purchased 3 L3 Harris CDL simulator and training trailer. If you haven't seen the simulator yet, we need to get you in there. I haven't even gotten flown to the simulator yet, so we need to get those tours scheduled. There's been a belly dump trailer purchased. We've had a donated class 8 truck. We're working with the county commissioners to find that road, to utilize the road and bridge. I talked with Sandra Beeman yesterday. The commissioners have been pretty wrapped up in the shooting complex and some other pieces in land purchase. We will begin working on that MOU, I would say next week. Legal counsel will certainly help us draft the MOU that we'll have for that. And it really is to have a range where the students can practice their backup skills, do their testing, that type of thing, and some storage as well for the trucks on the simulator. Del Howie Jr., of course, is our director of the CDL program. He's created all the course materials for the CDL program. He's registered with FMSCA and listed as a training provider. And Sarah Smith has also been hired as a full-time CDL instructor. So that program is off and running. There was a couple questions about, we had some students sign up that didn't follow through or weren't able to complete. Well, getting into a CDL program takes a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of Department of Transportation paperwork that has to happen before you can start that program. And so those students just haven't completed their paperwork yet, but I believe they're still in progress and we still have quite a long waiting list. We plan to start every 3 to 6 students every 3 to 4 weeks. So we should be moving forward with that. Accreditation. There is a draft due to my office by August 1st of the eligibility filing. My understanding is we're very close to having that complete. So we'll begin to take a look at that draft. That gives us until December to finalize and be ready to submit once that 3rd audit is approved by the Board of Trustees in November. So we look forward to having that done and getting that submitted. And then it takes about 3 to 4 months with the Higher Learning Commission, and we should be right into candidacy. And so the Director of Financial Aid, along with our Institutional Resource Director and Registrar, we meet regularly because we're going to start working on that financial aid application now with the Department of Education. So we have that ready to submit when we're into candidacy. Let me just tell you a little bit about Camp Reed. It's coming soon to a community near you. So some of the pieces that they'll be working on, those campers that are going to work on for us on campus, they're going to plant 1,500 bulbs, tulips and lilies. We have a few hundred donated lily bulbs, yellow. Trustee Williams, I know you're interested in what we're planting. We also have 21 Canadian red Siouxland cottonwoods that'll be planted during the time that the Camp Reed students are on campus. My favorite activity that they're going to be participating in is pulling weeds around the campus. You know how much I love weeds. They're going to get rid of all of those. They're going to clean the team buses and wash fleet vehicles. They're going to plant some trees. I already talked about that. They're also going to clean the bleachers in the Pronghorn Center. They're going to wipe down tables and chairs. They're going to clean High Plains Grill, wipe down all of our tables and chairs that are in storage and in the main building. So some projects that we like to get to, but it takes, sometimes we just can't get to them. So those students that are here, they're going to do that. They're going to do trash collection along Donkey Creek. Maybe Trustee Williams would like to come and do that. And then Area 59 is going to be closed to the public Monday through Friday because they're hosting classes for Camp Reed. And they'll also, Camp Ree will be utilizing some room in the tech center and the main building for Camp Ree, as well as the Pronghorn Court and the soccer field. And all 230 beds on campus will be utilized by staff. We don't have any students. It's all staff utilizing our bed. So the good and the bad part of all of this is we signed contracts before we knew we were bringing athletics back. So if we hadn't had to send our athletes over to Black Hill State, we would have netted about $100,000. That profit goes to Black Hill State for housing our students. So we'll wash evenly, but we are excited for these projects to be completed and have these folks in our community and show them the phenomenal community that Gillette is. So a lot happening this summer. The cabinet is retreating tomorrow to the Wasserberger cabinet. Thank you to the Wasserbergers. We're going to work on our priorities. We're going to assess the strategic plan. We're going to look at our organizational structure and really get prepared to hit this next academic year at full speed ahead, because we have a lot of work to get done, not only in the fall, but also in the spring. Executive Director Gross and I will be going to a planned giving conference at the end of July as we prepare for the NZ building work that we look forward to doing. We have had our initial conversation with the consultants that went really well. And so we're not in active campaign. We're not there yet, but there's certainly a lot of work that we can be doing now to get prepared for when we go into that active campaign. So onward we go. Fall semester starts in just about a month. So happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Trustees, does anybody have any questions for Dr. Olander, Trustee Williams?
Dr. O'Reilly, back to these.
Pardon?
Back
Back
to
to
these.
these. Yes, it's my favorite topic.
Canadian thistles.
Yes.
We can't pull it. Are they gonna spray it?
They do spray, yep. So Bill Brandt has been actively doing research over the last few years on what is the best way to get rid of the weeds we have on campus. And he's tried a few applications and will continue until we eliminate Canadian thistles on our campus.
You know, we have a great weed and pest history.
We have great pest history.
And they have a great spray.
Yeah.
Canadian thistles. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any questions for Dr. Overland? Well, obviously, the students aren't on campus, but congratulations on just keeping the workload moving forward with keeping the students in mind. Even keeping the campus beautiful is important to garnish students and have them feel that they're welcome. And that's a good place to call their home. So thank you for all of you for all the work that you guys have done that continue to work throughout the summer. Thank you. Our pleasure. Thank you. Okay. All right. Now we get to have a wonderful presentation by Roger Humphreys, who is our Director of Institutional Research. We welcome you. Thank you for driving down and putting together, looks like a nice PowerPoint presentation for us.
Thank you, Madam Chair, fellow trustees, and Dr. Overlander for an opportunity to share a little bit about what we've been working on and where we are moving forward in terms of data and how we're using that. So So what I put together is just some talking points, some 9 areas that I thought we could talk through, and then if there are any questions, please jump in. And so our first one, when we talk about the next, thank you, is so a lot of discussion around what is data driven or data informed. And I think in terms of the highlighted areas, data driven for the most part is you just look at the numbers and you don't look at anything else. You eliminate all the human factors, all the different, what we sometimes call soft data, and we're just going to base it on the numbers. And sometimes that is relevant and applicable, but for the most part, what we're wanting to move into is the second part, and that's the data informed, and that we utilize the data, but we use it within the context and evidence that we collect. So it's more of a collective decision when we make decisions, not just on the numbers. So for example, when we look at enrollment numbers, what are other factors that are involved in enrollment numbers, not just the numbers? And so the next slide, please. So when we look at how do you, what's needed to be able to have a structure in conversations around data-informed decision-making. Probably one of the first ones is the first little box up there, the people, the leadership in the analytic community. It's tying the analytics to the strategic plan. It's creating a culture within an institution, and its use on a consistent basis of how decisions are made. And that isn't just in the academic area, that is across campus of how we look at that. The second part is technology, is being able to have the technology, one, to access the data, and then two, to be able to analyze it, interpret it, be able to communicate that and make it available. Sometimes institutions create reports, but they're 6 months out. So how does the data become live and relevant and meaningful? And that's a lot of coordination with a lot of people across campus. Okay, from IT to faculty to the board of trustees of how you're able to access that. Our goal down the road is to have dashboards to where you can access that data and be able to look at that. And there are some of those live dashboards, some that are maybe semester. The third piece is the culture, the process. So how do you define the governance structure of how the data is used, who manages it, who is the steward of that, all of the different rules and responsibilities. And one of the major pieces is how do you secure it? How do you make sure that it's secure to protect personal information, not only of employees, but students? Okay. So when we look at the imperatives, next slide, please, Ellen, thank you. Okay, so how's it used? It isn't just used in the academic arena. As you can see, it's used across the board in terms of student success, academic programming, the needs of the community and industry. We've been working at the beginning pieces with the foundation about gathering data around our alumni and survey pieces, how we can help with the efficiency and effectiveness of an institution, the strategic agility of does the data allow us to be nimble and be able to make adjustments with some of our goals, and really around that governance and security and the ethical considerations of how that's used, who it's shared with, and all of those types of things, which is a huge piece that we have to do. Okay. So the next slide talks about our strategic priorities. So when we look at the things that we talk about data informed, how does that impact our current strategic priorities? Our 4 strategic priorities, around the student-centered experience, around the excellence of our education, our community partnerships, and institutional advancement. So all the little pieces after those, how do we measure those? What data is needed to support those goals and those priorities? And how do we know if we're meeting those or moving towards those? So that governance, that data-informed pieces are both sometimes what I call hard and soft data, qualitative and quantitative data that we're able to gather and make decisions. Okay. So one of the tasks that has been given to me by Dr. Oberlander is what is the data critical for us to assess our strategic priorities? So one of the 4 areas that we've been working a lot with Sheridan College and with Dr. Spriggs is around matriculation, enrollment. How many students do we have that are prospects, that become applications, that become enrolled in the college? What are our term-to-term enrollment? What is our program enrollment? Do we see variances within those? Do we look at those within demographic slices, age, gender, all of those different pieces that we do? And probably a big piece, can we predict and can we forecast enrollment trends? Pulling data from not only from the college, from the commission, from state and national agencies. The second one, student retention. How many students start with us in the fall and how many of them are back the next fall? Student persistence. How many of them are in the fall with us and persist either at Gillette College or somewhere else? Much of this data is collected by the state and also by the federal government and the iPads. The last one around completion. How many of them actually graduate? And then how long does it take them to complete? Do they complete within 100%, 150% of their initial start date. So those tasks have been given to the Office of Institutional Research. These are really critical with, as Dr. Overlander mentioned, our accreditation report for eligibility. Dr. Spriggs is needing these to put into our submission. So moving forward, so how do we know if we're meeting those strategic goals? So we need to think about the measures, the indicators, the data sources, all the different pieces that we're going to develop to be able to assess and measure those. So for example, student retention. How do we go about measuring student retention? What is our goal? And when are we going to collect the data? Where are we going to collect the data from? Okay, and what is that framework of communicating that to where it's accurate, valid data or data, excuse me. Okay. The next slide. So when we talk about all of those pieces, how do we govern the data that we have? And just sort of a generic definition, it's the decision-making and the authority around the data. And Renee and I are working with the IT steering committee to begin this process of how we define our governance structure. It includes policies that the Board of Trustees has to look and develop, and the procedures of how we manage that in a very formalized fashion. Next slide, please. So our goals are the general goals of data governance is to make better decisions, to reduce friction and silos. Higher ed is synonymously known for silos. And so we have one silo, not 15 silos. Okay, protecting the needs of the stakeholders, which is really critical. The data that I hopefully will be able to pull soon has a lot of personal information. And so how I store that, how Renee stores that, how we protect the individual information is critical. Can we repeat and replicate our reports? So they're consistent from year to year, they're pulled at the same time, same place, same data set. And sometimes that you get varying reports. Okay? We need to make sure that we're consistent. Okay? Being able to reduce costs and effectiveness through coordinations of efforts. And probably the last one is ensuring transparency of the process. Okay? That none of it is hidden, none of it is secret, and what we're able to share with people. Okay? Next slide, please. So what we are working on at a very beginning stage are the roles. What we are proposing is that we have an ad hoc or a small committee within the steering committee that becomes our governance committee or our council. And they will be tasked to do those things, to set the rules, the policies, the procedures, data definitions. You would not believe how many ways retention is defined. Dr. Overlander and I had a debate on that the first week. Okay, and they're all defined somewhat differently from iPads, from the clearinghouse, from the commission, across state boundaries. They're all looked a little bit different, but we need to come up with a common definition for Gillette College of how we're going to look at those. Who is the steward of the data? Okay. Typically, it lives in institutional research, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be. But we need to define who's the steward over that. And then the last one is we have to define the users that we will be able to access it and the level of what they can get and how they can use that. Last slide, really this is our next step of building a structure and a framework. These are things that we will be working on throughout the year to develop our data governance framework. We have to develop our own mission and values. We have to define who benefits from the data, establishing and defining the products and the resources, all the way down in terms of defining who are the participants. So a lot of work, a lot of good work of being able to put that formalized structure in place, all the way back when we talk about those strategic priorities and how we're able to look at that and show progress towards those. That's a pretty quick presentation, but any questions for me?
A lot of data.
Yeah, a lot of numbers, but a lot of other data that will be collected.
Trustee Palmer.
So, Chairman Wassenberger, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. Excellent. You've done a lot. I know you've only been on campus for a short while and you've already put a lot of work into this. So meat and potatoes wise, when are we gonna see the blocks start to be filled in? When will you come back to the trustees, and how often will you come back to the trustees through the president on giving us the numbers?
Trustee Palmer, excellent question. This fall, I hope to create not a tentative, but an initial structure of an enrollment or an institutional report of what data we have. And then our goal is a more comprehensive plan in the future that would be a yearly annual or institutional report. Once we get into our governance structure, subsequent reports, smaller ones, could come back to the board of defining those. So for example, could be a 1-day, 10-day count. Could be once we're able to access iPads data, clearinghouse data, whenever those are published, then in a schedule, we would have that and provide that to the board. But my goal in the fall is to be able to present some of the data that we're going to be able to use for our HLC report.
Yes.
Dr. Humphries, thank you.
Mhm.
As Chairman Wasserberger said earlier, having served on the advisory board, we had the benefit for many years of having that data, the 10-day data, the semester end data. However, recently we haven't had that data, as you well know, and so to get that back again would be significant. So thank you for your work on that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Madam Acting Chair.
Yes.
So just a little insight for the trustees on where we're at with access to data. So Roger started on May 28th. As of this morning, he still does not have access. So we hope by this afternoon, and it's not been for lack of try, it's not been for lack of working certainly with our partners across the Powder River, but also with the Webb Community College Commission. So we hope this afternoon, based on the last email we had this morning, he should have access. And as they should, NWCCD is protecting their data. They should be protecting their data as we will want to protect it as well. But also remember, this is NWCC data that you're going to start to see as we develop. Now, as we start to enter information into colleague, he'll be able to pull data of all sorts and develop the dashboards that we still look forward to having, not only for you, but for the staff and also the faculty. It will be wonderful for them to have access to this. So a lot of uphill work to do, but no doubt we have the right team in place to get it done.
And our goal too, I guess I would add, the commission produces an enrollment and a performance report. And I'm sure you've seen those. Once we're able to get to the data at the commission, we can replicate that same report for our college. So my goal would bring that back in a similar format from the commission that we could present. And not to get into details, just one field you add, move over, and SQL Server and to this.
Right, yeah. I was just thinking that, thank goodness, we all have interests in other things, and that you have an interest in this, because that is something I could not do. However, I did give you CPR.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just from having a healthcare background, it really is important to talk apples to apples. So determining the integrity of the data, I think, is really so important. Also taking on to what Trustee Palmer said, in the years past, the advisory board was very much informed of these trends and the data collection. And I would encourage that our advisory board, as an extension of us, also receive update and maybe even training such as this. Because they really network with our industry partners across the whole county. So that would be great. It's just the more people that actually know the facts and can speak to the correctness of the things that we're trying to do would be great.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our goal working with marketing is if we could get to a point where we have our own website and people can go out on the public website and access those reports. And so which ones we can make public. Many colleges have very comprehensive dashboards rather than printing them out on paper. You're able to utilize a dashboard and have access very quickly. So that's our goal. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I think the other thing that's exciting for me, and I'm sure Mr. Geis is very excited as well, but for our staff and faculty to have access to the data, right? Our enrollment team is flying somewhat blind right now with not being able to get up to date. Where are we at with this program and this enrollment? Where are we at with this program's enrollment? Our faculty would love to know what their course counts are, right? The enrollment in each one of their courses. And I think that's going to be very helpful. It was when I was in recruiting to have day-to-day or week-to-week, as you get closer, hour-to-hour reports that, oh, here's an area where we need to focus on. We're good in this area. And it just helps direct the activities of what needs to happen on those front lines, but also in the classroom.
We'll look forward to once we actually get dated with integrity that add that as a standing report. I know that Chair Palmer has requested that in the past, and we all found it very valuable. So we can put that on our horizon of being able to have hearing from you regularly. But that was very well done, and thank you for robust information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on, old business. We don't have any old business unless somebody else.
Madam Chair, there is no old business to bring before the board.
Okay, perfect. Okay, moving on to new business. The first reading of policy 4000.1, awarding of tenure.
Madam Chair, trustees, as you know, this is an important aspect for our faculty. And this is a policy that you originally approved, and now with our faculty being Gillette Community College District employees, last year they spent, along with the academic deans and the Vice President Spriggs, working on a policy review, and you also were provided a copy of the procedure that, of course, board doesn't approve, but your input to that procedure is certainly welcome. You do know that the faculty, as well as the academic deans, have had significant input to this policy. As it's been revised, you do have a red line version of this policy for your review and for first reading and approval of first reading.
I'm sure I'd make a motion so we can have discussion.
Absolutely.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Anderson provides a second. Thank you, Trustee Palmer, for providing the motion. Discussion. Trustee Palmer, would you like to start off with discussion?
I'll reserve that for others to go first.
Okay. Any discussion on this policy? Okay, Trustee Gee?
Question, sure. Curious to know what other community colleges around the state have, if this is similar or different.
Great question, trustee. All of the tenure policies are similar yet different. Each college approaches tenure differently. Some colleges, once tenure is granted, it's a lifelong appointment. Some do contracting differently. Some have procedures or processes that are different. But by and large, the end result is that a faculty member has gone through a process and they have done some extensive work to achieve tenure. All of our faculty positions, with the exception of adjunct, with the exception of an interim position, our faculty are tenure positions. So it takes a while to achieve tenure, takes a while to learn the faculty process, to learn, as Mr. Geis has recently been through it. It just takes a minute to get through those first years of being a faculty member and get comfortable with the assessment process and be comfortable with the curriculum. That's why there's a 4-year process. There's also a mentoring process built into our procedure that faculty would be aligned with a mentor for those first few years, which is also very helpful. So while they're similar, they're all very different in their approach.
Any other questions for Dr. Overlander? Trustee Anderson.
The faculty who were tenured at NWCCD will be tenured at Gillette. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, Trustee Anderson, yes. So when they were brought over, when our faculty were brought over, their tenure status was brought with them. Now, the Gillette Community College District tenure procedure is different than what NWCCD procedure is. So within the procedure, there is a process whereby faculty who are tenured by NWCCD have the option, it's an optional, to go through and then receive the benefits of the GCCD tenure. And I believe, if I remember correctly from the procedure in its draft, it's not been finalized and approved. There's some notification of a non-renewal and also an increase to the base of their salary, along with the other pieces of tenure. So those are the two. Again, that procedure has not been finalized, so I would not hold that to be exactly what's going to happen. We're still finalizing.
And faculty who were at NWCCD that are not currently tenured, their previous service counts towards this policy.
Madam Chair, Trustee Anderson, that's correct. In fact, we had one faculty member who got somewhat caught in the middle of the transition, who should have been awarded tenure. There was something right here in this middle, and so I believe that has now been taken care of. It was a nursing faculty, so I believe she has now been granted her tenure through the process as appropriate. Yes, Trustee Palmer.
So along the same lines as Trustee Gee and Trustee Anderson. So if I'm a faculty member at another, and a tenured faculty member at another Wyoming community college or university, and I come to Gillette, do I retain that tenure or do I start all over?
Madam Chair, Trustee Palmer, under this process, we would start over with you.
And then once if I'm successful and achieve tenure, how often do I have to go back and have that reviewed? Or once I'm tenured, am I, because I know President Leonard, you referred in earlier comments to the fact that every community college is a little different and some, so, but if I'm tenured, once I'm tenured, or do I have to renew that every so often?
Madam Chair, Trustee Palmer, once you receive tenure, you typically don't have to do any more tenure work. Now, what we would like to see, and as part of assessment, as part of accreditation, as part of program review, our faculty are doing professional development. They're doing their program reviews. And so some of that becomes expected, right? Mr. Geis certainly is not sorry, you're the only faculty here, so you're the one. He's certainly not teaching the same way he was 4 years ago. He's added new processes. He's added new techniques to his teaching and his administration of his program. But that's just part of being a faculty, right? Just as we do professional development and they work on pedagogy and andragogy. That's just part of the expectation of being a faculty.
No, please keep going.
So I guess my last question is who serves on the tenure?
Yes, Acting Chair Walter and Trustee Palmer. That's established through the procedure. And so within the procedure, there's a way for that committee to be set. Now, Vice President of Academics, Dr. Spriggs, makes recommendations to me at the final step. And then it's actually the Board of Trustees who make the final decision based on recommendation of the administration.
Yeah, thank you for some wonderful questions. Again, thank you, Dr. Overlander, for the maybe reassurance is not the correct term to use, but that faculty, I really think that that's critical for the buy-in, the participation, the open dialogue, the banter back and forth to get it at a product that everybody can accept as a professional standard. So thank you for that. I kind of maybe have a wild question, Mr. McGrath. Wyoming's an at-will state, correct?
Correct.
Employment at-will state. So can you just give us a short version, even though you're an attorney, a short version of how tenure works with an at-will state, just for my knowledge?
Sure. So in general, Wyoming's not will state. The employment relationship's going to be able to be terminated at any time by the employer. adopt standards like this, like a tenure or whatever it is, you're gonna alter that relationship in some way, and so you're gonna have to follow the procedures to determine that relationship, whatever the procedures are that are developed within your plan for tenure. You don't have to obviously strictly comply with those if you're going to go through the nomination process.
Thank you for public record. I think that's a great explanation. Other questions, other discussion? Good discussion.
In short.
In short,
Shocking.
yeah. So we have a motion that's on the floor. If there's lacking any further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, so moved. All right, colleague software license approval.
Madam Chair, trustees, we are in a new fiscal year, so we have the opportunity to approve some yearly purchases and bills. And this is one of those invites, and certainly Vice President Larson is here and can add and answer questions if you have of her, but this is the colleague bill that we received from the Wyoming Community College Commission. As you know, because we are not yet accredited and we are not assessing full mills, we incur the cost of our student management system, which right now is colleague, or Lucian, sorry. So this is the cost that we have to pay that for our access to colleague.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the purchase of the yearly software license for Illusion and Colleague for a total of $362,807.
Second.
Thank you, trustees Gee and Palmer for the motion, followed by the second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Sorry, just one.
no
So
apologies.
is the $382,807, is that the same amount that the other 7 community colleges are paying?
Madam Chair, trustee Palmer, the other community colleges do not incur this cost because this is state pays for it. Wyoming Community College Commission, the state pays for it. We are incurring the cost.
Just had to get that out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a high price for freedom, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, it does, to me, seem kind of daunting for the price of that, but it's unfortunately a must have. And unfortunately, the way that our legislative boundaries are structured, we don't qualify. So then, is there any other discussion? If not, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of to approve the purchase of this yearly software for Lucian and was the total of $362,000 plus, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so moved. Moving right along, invoice, another invoice for college contribution to the student housing.
Madam Chair, this was a question that we have sought and legal counsel Brown from the city and also legal counsel McGrath have been involved in the conversation and the questions that have come up. Did Sean Brown, is he on? So Sean is joining us by Zoom, so if we have questions of the city. But this is the interest payment for the bond on I-Hall. It is for fiscal year 25 interest. Now, I had a good conversation with Administrator Cole yesterday. Certainly Vice President Larson has had an in-depth conversation with their city finance director of city finance. The city does intend to pay I-Hall off, the bond off for I-Hall by the end of this calendar year. That process has not, there are no agreements signed at this time. Therefore, we can't assume that's going to happen. And based on our agreement, based on the original contracts entered into with the Northern Wyoming Community College District, that we agreed to take on in Exhibit B when we were going through the transition processes, this interest payment is our obligation. With that, City Attorney Brown, is there anything to add to that I have missed? If you did not hear me, I can repeat it.
No, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I can the trustee? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's essentially correct. I think a lot of the questions arise because we have one party that is wearing multiple hats in a lot of these transactions, but essentially we have two separate transactions. One is the land deal that is scheduled to close sometime before January 1 of the upcoming year. But then there is also the housing MOU that you referenced, where at the time Sheridan College was required to pay 17% of the construction costs, which include the financing costs to get the Inspiration Hall built, which has subsequently been passed to you, as I understand it.
That's correct. And I would remind the trustees that the interest and the payoff of the bond on I-Hall and High Plains Grill is a completely separate transaction than the purchase of the NZ property. Completely separate transactions and contracts, basically. So.
Before we make a motion, I guess I would like to ask for any other input. Ms. Larson, do you have any other input that you'd like to share with us before our decision making happens here?
Chair Wasserberger and trustees, no. This has been paid, this is our 9th payment out of 10. So next year, if the rest of the agreement doesn't go through, we would pay one more, but this is the same annual payment that NWCCD was paying each year, and we paid our portion last year too, and maybe even the year before that. So this is the annual amount, yes.
Okay.
In the budget.
Thank you. Yes, trustee.
Thanks. I think what makes this confusing is we're calling it a 2025 interest payment, and there's a possibility that we purchase this property. And so what happens with the interest payment we pay if we buy it January 1st? Does that make sense?
Madam Chair, trustee Gee, we're not purchasing I-Hall or High Plains Grill. The city is paying off the bond, and then once that happens, we can transfer that to Gillette Community College District. We can't do that transfer based on how the bond is written. We can't do that transfer until the bond is satisfied.
Okay, right.
The
That
NZ,
helps a
yeah,
lot.
the NZ property completely separate.
Right.
And there, I'd add to that. So there is a resolution that I think the city passed May of last year that dealt with Tanner Village and Inspiration Hall specifically. I think it's when you were going through some capital facility stuff. That resolution affirmed our intent to transfer those properties hopefully by January or no later than January 2026 or 2025, and that can occur once the bond obligations get satisfied.
So this is one step toward that.
Correct.
Thank you.
And that was legislatively approved during session.
Okay, wonderful. I would request a motion then to approve the payment to the city of Gillette for $244,822.35.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Trustees Anderson and Gee have provided the motion and the second. Is there any other discussion?
I appreciate the additional dialogue on this. When I first saw that, I think I had questions like other trustees. So I appreciate President Overlander and certainly council's taking time to help us better understand and reflect on the history of how we got here. So thank you.
Absolutely. A remark I would just like to make is that I know that our chair McGrath, when we had our pre-agenda meeting, had brought us some really good points and questions in regards to this topic, much alike what you guys have spoken to. So that is helpful. But I want to, for the record, make sure that it was so noted that Chair McGrath was very well aware and asked for more explanation on this as well. So thank you.
And thank you to City Attorney Brown and the city for all of their help.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, perfect. Yes. Yeah, we do thank the city so much. And thank you for being on here with us. So great work for the good of the cause, just for our students and our campus.
Sure, you're welcome.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Same sign. Okay, so moved. Next new item of business, Zoom phone purchase approval.
Madam Chair, trustees, again, this is the annual payment for our access to Zoom, all of our classrooms, Zoom technology, our Zoom phones, our Zoom meeting, all of the things we now post-COVID do by Zoom. And so last year, the bill was not over 60,000. We have increased users. We have taken on more of the classroom technology. So now it's beyond spending authority of me. We have to get your approval to approve this invoice. So that's what the Zoom invoice is all about, the use of our technology. And Renee and Cassandra are here too if you have additional questions about the technology.
Okay, so then we can open up discussion.
I'll make a motion so we can have a discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Chair, trustee Palmer has provided and trustee Smith has whispered a second. So, discussion, please.
I guess one question, as all things, this price continues to go up, and I know we have more users and that. And there are other services available. I guess my question is how often will we go out and take a look and compare Zoom versus, was there like team meetings and there's some other groups out there? I'm not as up to speed on all that as I know all of you are, but I guess I'm just curious as to will we do that and how long?
Madam Chair, Trustee Palmer, we actually also use Teams. However, Renee, would that be a great question for Renee?
Yeah, I
to
would
answer?
really invite
And
Renee.
you all know Renee Collins, she's the director of our IT services.
Yes, thank you,
So-
Renee, for making the trip down here too.
Let's go all
Yeah, all the way
the
over
way.
So-
Keep going.
There you go.
Chair, trustees, 2 years ago, when we were deciding, are we gonna go Zoom, are we gonna go Teams, what do we want to do? We were preparing to take over that ownership from Sheridan. We met with our IT steering committee and what they wanted was keep it the same for now. There's so many changes happening, so can we please just keep it? So we did a 2 year. So this is starting our second year. So next spring, later this fall or winter, we'll start evaluating what does that look like? What is the best direction for us to determine, do we move to Teams? Because there are costs associated with that. Do we stay with Zoom and determine what we want to do to go forward? So we're just in that second year, but we'll need to evaluate that and determine, again, take it to the steering committee and then determine what direction we want to go and what makes the most sense for Gillette College.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
So I guess part of what I'm concerned about is any duplicity then. If we, I mean, because it's a hefty price tag, it has absolutely gone up. Are we meeting our budgeted mark for this year, anticipating it was going to be that much? I totally support that. We've had so much in transition time that we don't need one thing to capsize the boat or rock it harder, I guess I should say. We're not going to capsize. But as a consumer, I worry about the cost if there's a huge amount of overlap.
There is some overlap as we relate to Teams versus Zoom. But right now, Sheridan had made the investment with Zoom in the classrooms. We have over 25 classrooms that have Zoom integration, so we have to take that into consideration. And the Zoom phone, so everybody's desk phone is Zoom. So in order to go to Teams, we would have to replace all of those desk phones. So that's where we have to look at those costs and determine what the best direction is as we're looking at those services. So, but we will do another evaluation to determine what is the best direction for us.
Trustee Anderson.
I would also think that the switching to a new platform would require some training for all the faculty, all the staff, the students, everybody would have to get used to something. And one aspect is the students are still Sheridan, so they do get a Zoom license. Sheridan is not Teams. So that's another aspect that we have to consider.
Madam Chair. Yeah, so along the same lines as Trustee Anderson, our faculty are very adept at utilizing Zoom in the classroom, the technology is so I'm curious. And certainly, again, Tony, you're the only faculty. That input would be really important for us to understand before we would make, how would that impact our teaching? How would that impact all of those kinds of things? no doubt that's on your mind as well.
Yeah, consumer beware, my dad would always say, buying the cheapest option is not necessarily always the best, but I think it's good points of discussion. There's thoughtfulness. Obviously, your department does an amazing job with evaluation, and we'll look forward to some summary of that cost analysis as you provided before with other IT things. Is there any other further discussion then?
I have one, I guess, comment. Are all phone bills this complicated?
You'll have to answer it. No, there is some complexity to it as we go through it.
Thank you.
I am. You know, when I think of team, I think of Colorado State. Or Wyoming.
Thank you.
So what's the difference between team and?
The manufacturer, is one of them. Teams is Microsoft. So we do have licenses with that, but we do not have like the phone aspect of those licenses. Zoom is just another manufacturer in that same space.
So it's really $1.00 thing.
And different functionality, sometimes you get different features from different applications.
And definitely it changes learning curve. So thank you very much, Renee, for coming and providing that clarification and additional information. Are we ready for a vote, trustees then? Okay. I'm looking forward to a motion to approve this. We already did that. Sorry, I didn't write it down. Okay, so yeah, because we were having discussion. All right, all those in favor to approve of this spending authority, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed, same sign? Thank you. Yeah, I jumped ahead. I'm sorry, it was Palmer and Smith. Okay, last but not least, approval of spend authority for audio visual technology upgrade to the tech center flex space and tech center boardroom.
Absolutely. Madam Chair, trustees, this is a really exciting upgrade for the Techflex. We saw when the governor was speaking in the Techflex not too long ago, that it was glaring. We needed absolutely to upgrade, and we knew that. And so we've ramped up this audiovisual update for the Techflex in the boardroom. So in your board packet, you received, or in my pre-meeting board report, you received the bids. We did request 3 bids. We got 2 back. And so vendor 1 is local, vendor 2 is out of state actually. And we did choose to go, would prefer to go with the local vendor. 1, because built into the out of state, we do not see the cost of their travel, which we would incur. And there's also better support from the local vendor within the quotes that they have provided. So we look forward to this. This is a budgeted amount within the fiscal year 25 budget. This line item was budgeted. So we're asking for a spend authority of up to $110,000 for the upgrade of the audiovisual equipment in the Techflex and in your boardroom, Techflex, or in the tech boardroom, tech center boardroom.
Which also contains some.
Which
also. Okay, before we have a discussion, would your comment be under discussion?
Yes, the other discussion.
Okay, thank you, trustee Palmer. So, would someone like to make a motion? Trustee Anderson, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Williams provides a second. Discussion. Trustee Palmer. Oh,
Don't go ahead.
trustee Williams.
When will this be completed?
Chair, I'm drawing blanks. when I
It's
look
way
at
too
the
long.
chair. Also further, trustee Williams, we hope to have this completed by the time faculty come back at the end of August. What's Renee's look on her face, because I can't see. My goal would be to have it,
Yeah, or the AED machine.
by the time faculty come back. We know that might not be realistic, but certainly before the end of the fall semester. So
So then what are some of
August
the, what are some of the changes that we're going to see?
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask Renee to step in because she's been the one to find this. Thank you, Renee. You know where to
Thank
be.
you, Renee. Get down on your invisible X.
So, Chair, trustees, the flex space has no technology, really built in. So this would be new projector, microphones, sound for the speakers, Zoom capabilities, a way to be able to connect so that we can what you're used to, like in the boardroom, we can do out in the flex space. So it's the technology and capabilities to mirror that in that space.
Can you talk about the changes in the boardroom as well?
We are adding a TV for the audience in the boardroom. So
Like a big screen.
yes, correct.
So not sure that doesn't mean that trustee Williams can come in and watch your CSU.
Play Wyoming.
That's a hard no.
The Pronghorns, the July College Pronghorns, yes.
Yes, we
Yes.
can always have problems. Any other discussion? Thank you again, Renee.
Sure.
Yes.
Not necessarily, but a couple of things, I think, this is gonna be a huge benefit for all the other gatherings that take place, I think, at the foundation. And I know that what you've done in terms of try to get the acoustics right in that room, when you have your big celebrations. And so I think this will be a real plus. Yeah, I think it's great. And my one question is on bids. Do we as a public entity, as a Gillette Community College District serving Campbell County, do we also have the 5% in-state preference?
Vice President Larson.
Did we adopt that as part of our purchasing?
We have not. Chair Wasserberger and Trustee Palmer, we don't have that written, excuse me, in our procedures for purchasing. We have put out a lot of, several bids, I would say, over the past few years. They've all come back in-state providers. We are just now with Colley implementing the purchasing and procurement systems. And we will build that into the procedures as we get that all settled down. But other than, we haven't had RFPs that we put out that have come back without state vendors, suppliers.
If I might, I just think that would be something I want to consider. I think, again, we're wanting to promote economic development through our role as a community college district. And I think that it would also promote our local businesses and our statewide businesses to come and service these things. So where it makes sense. And I think the city of Gillette has that. I think the town of Wright has that. I think there's one more public entity that would be good that we get that as well. So at some point, if we could update our purchasing.
Wonderful. Chair Palmer, again, you're such a good historian, and that's a very obviously sound suggestion that I was unaware of. So thank you for bringing that up, which is very helpful. So. All right, so any more discussion? Okay, if not, we already have a first and second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. So moved. Committee reports, WACD.
Haven't done anything.
Excellent report. Mr. Smith.
We are gearing up for legislature.
Yes.
Aaron, so.
So there and Taylor, just for clarification for the.
Madam Chair, what I would remind the trustees is I forwarded yesterday, Aaron Taylor's update for July. They are looking for your profiles, so there's a link. If you have difficulty with that, sure, just let us know. And Ellie, Ms. Henning would be happy to help update your profiles with WACT. They're looking for it for advertising purposes.
She was asking for profiles for board
WACT board. Yes, WACT. What did I say? Sorry.
So
The
we just
email went to all of us.
so it would just be for the
That's
two
just for- are you
wacky.
sure?
Yeah.
I guess that's the
I
question.
have to look.
No.
I'll clarify.
I believe what they want all.
I think so too. I'll clarify that.
You'll let us know at the next
I
one.
will. Or
Yeah.
I'll let you know for the next board.
Yeah.
Nice try, nice try.
Okay, upcoming events. You can see the list of our upcoming events. The filing period for the Gillette College Board of Trustees is August 7th through the 26th. You can pick up your application at the county clerk's office. And make sure you turn it in by the 26th. On August 20th, we'll have a welcome back lunch, which has always been sponsored by our advisory board. It will be in the Tech Center Flex Space at 12 p.m. Typically, they've asked the Board of Trustees to provide a dessert. Would that be the case? Are we doing? But yeah, if we could find out if they have a request from us of how we can help support them, other than our personal parents, that would be great. The foundation golf scramble will be at Bell Knob on August 23rd. And thank you, Heidi, for joining us down here today, even though there wasn't a report for you to provide, but really nice to see you here. And thank you for coming. August.
Do we have enough teams in the foundation?
Madam Chair, trustees, yes, we do. We're full with foursomes. We still have a couple of whole sponsorships available. All of our major sponsors are full, which is our front nine, back nine, lunch. Those are all full, but we still have a few like whole and cart sponsorships available. But other than that, we're full. So be a good day.
Yeah.
Did we skip public comment?
Oh, we absolutely did. Thank you, Trustee Anderson, for that. My apologies. How about if we just finish up real quick with the events, and I'd be more than happy to come back to that. On August 26th, the classes will begin for the fall semester. And then the other thing that's not on here, but Janelle, Dr. Overlander actually had already brought up, is sometime in August, we'll be looking forward to the lighting of the bridge and having time with the trustees. So for our community. So we'll look forward to that. Again, my deepest apologies. We're starting the meeting late and my fault.
Say, Chair, Wasserberg, I'm looking at my watch. It's 1:05. We started 5 minutes late. You were exactly on time.
Well, thank you.
And I want that to be, I want that to be in the record. So that when Chair McGrath comes back, he knows what capable hands he left the meeting.
All right, I'll get it written down.
So public comments. First of all, I have a comment. I just want to say it's so great to have you guys here and visiting, and I hope that you can help spread the word of what we do and how we do things. But we love the interaction. We're open ears and trying to be very transparent. Happy to have our meetings down here to help spread that information and then have them available on our website. So thank you. Anything you guys want to add?
No, thanks for coming down.
I would add that as well. I apologize for the change that you guys had to have so quickly.
We're very
Usually that facility is not used that late in the day. But I do appreciate you guys having your meeting down here. I think it shows that your willingness to provide service to the southern half of Campbell County. And I know that, there's not very many people here in attendance now, but there will be people who see that you were here and they appreciate that a lot. So I appreciate that.
Well, there are more public here today than there often are.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have no idea how happy we are. And that was our goal. I'm very excited. I know that it was a lot of work on behalf of our staff, in other ways to get us down here, but we just have felt that it was critically important and wanted to make it happen sooner, but it had. And speaking of connections and support down in Wright, our boat chiefs director, Mr. Wasserberger, is working diligently to help serve your students, obviously, and continue to serve your students as well. But anyway, did you sign up to speak, Mr. Wasserberger?
I did not.
Okay, well then. No, go right ahead. Step forward. Yeah, step forward, Mr. Wasserberger.
Gotta get. Madam Chair, I'm not gonna call you that tonight. I did want to recognize people from Wright. I have spent many years timing track meets with Annie and Doug. Doug is also a city councilman here.
and he has been involved in this community for many, many years. Very quickly, I would like to state that Bochis is down in Wright Junior Senior High School. They have the same percentage of students taking college courses at Wright High School as does any other high school in our community. And they have to do all of them because they have not, they don't have a single concurrent, well, they do have a couple of concurrent teachers. But they've done very, very, very well. And the real person who does the heavy lifting for that is Rachel Barnhurst, and she is the guidance counselor at Wright High School, and she gets those kids enrolled. She works hard to do it. She works with Geneva Wickham to get them through the process. In Wright, the way that they do it through Mr. Robertson is if you take a college class online, you get to go to the library for an hour. And so every day they go to the library for 1 hour and they do their college work. And so it's been a process that we've made work for this community. And we plan on making sure it continues. But lastly, the Bochis report, we have our budget meeting tonight. Trustee Anderson will be there. The two biggest things in the budget that are changes from years before, and I'll take you through it maybe at the next meeting, but we have moved from my very first year as Bochis director, we had a $40,000 budget for Pronghorn Advantage students. Last year, we were at 300,000. Mrs. Larson keeps sending me bills. We are now at 370,000 in our budget, and it continues to grow. The second big change, as you are aware, is that the assessed valuation for Campbell County went down. And we were anticipating in our preliminary budget a drop of 8.8%. And the drop was 7.6%. So that helped us considerably. And we do not have the luxury of increasing mills or lowering our mills. We can have just half of a mill. And so I think we do a great job with what we've got going, and just want to thank the people from Wright for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that, officially it's 1:11. We will adjourn the meeting.
Nice job.
Nice job.